Never know how much I love you. Never know how much I care. When you put your arms around me, I get a feeling that's so hard to bear. You give me fever when you kiss me.
So my name is Blánid. I am an Irish singer-songwriter who currently lives in London in the UK.
Awesome. So why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about your background? How did you get started as a songwriter?
So I've been involved in music for a really long time. I started off as a kid singing in choirs and stuff like that. And then in my kind of later years of school, developed a really strong interest in Irish traditional folk, because that's like my background. So then at uni, I developed that a bit further and started singing in pubs and stuff. And then doing covers and singing at open mics, and then I sang at a few balls, and I was like, this is something that I think I really want to do. So then when I left university, I thought, I'm going to properly try and start this now. So I started singing and applying to folk festivals around the UK, lots of like small little festivals, and kind of started building a following in that way. And then last year I made the move to London. And really try and branch out, 'cause I was in the countryside before. I was in Oxford and in Newbury, like small little towns, which were wonderful and really supported me in doing what I wanted to do. But London was where it was at for me. So I moved there and started trying to get involved in the folk scene in London, and met some really great people along the way who started supporting me, giving me gigs, paid gigs, headline gigs at folk venues in London, which was amazing. I got some studio time and recorded some covers, the first of which I released this year in February. And and then late last year I started writing my own stuff and submitted it to BBC Radio Kent. There they really liked me, which was wonderful, and I played my original material for the first time on air, which is great. And then I submitted my music to this thing called BBC Introducing as well, which is like for artists trying to start off, and I was played on my local BBC Radio Devon as well. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest. The past year has been really great for me, and it's just about continuing that and working hard, making connections, and carrying on doing what I love. So yeah.
I saw your, I think it was the BBC London cover that you did.
Yeah.
It was I don't remember what cover it was, but I was familiar with the song, and you were singing on YouTube.
Was it which one was it?
It was one of your most popular videos. Whichever one it was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Was it me playing live?
Yes.
Okay. Was it that cover of the Romanian Dragoste Dinte, that pop song from 2003? Was it that one?
Yes.
Yes. That's one. That's the single I've released. Yeah.
It looks like your videos have gotten a ton of support. You have a good amount of supporters from, it looks like all over, at least it seems.
Yeah. I think it's great that I've had such kind of a wide fan base, which is amazing. I think maybe the emotional element of my music speaks to quite a lot of people, which is great. And it's amazing, like when you put a video on Instagram or something, or on YouTube, and you see comments being like, hi from like Greece, or hi from like Spain or Colombia or something like that, and you're just like, oh my god, this is amazing. Yeah.
So I know you were talking to me a little bit earlier about how you got into songwriting, but can you re-explain that for everybody that's listening?
Yeah, sure, of course. So like I said, I started off as an artist in terms of, I did traditional folk Irish stuff to start off with, and then I branched into doing covers in interesting ways and doing my own arrangement of stuff. And I never had considered writing really before songwriting. I tried my hand at it when I was younger, when kind of my peers or people that I knew in the industry were writing, and their stuff was so much better than mine. Mine was awful. I hated what I wrote, and I was like, I just was like, obviously, I am not an innate songwriter. This wasn't meant for me. I'll just do covers and I'll do stuff like that. And then it was late last year, October, when a song kind of dropped out of the air. Is the only real way I can describe it. It was just kind of a line or two just came to me, and I thought, oh, I think that's quite good. Like I said, I thought it must be from something. I must have got that from something. And I went and looked and Googled the lyrics that I had, and I was like, no, this is mine. I haven't got it from anywhere. I was like, wow. And so I took that line and I just started writing it, and it just came out in an evening, and I was like, this is great. And I sent it to a few people and I said, what do you think? And they were like, I can't believe you've written this. And I was like, neither can I. And from there I thought, maybe this is something I can do. So I wrote kind of 3 or 4 songs over a few months. And then I sent them to places, and yeah.
That's amazing. And was that the song that you released?
No, so the song that I released was a cover song of a pop song back in 2003, which was massive, by a band called Ozone.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to love it when I was younger. I listened on repeat for ages. I didn't know any of the words because they're all in Romanian. And then a couple of years back, I learnt the Romanian for it, and then I would perform it at places, and everyone was always like, oh my god, I can't believe it's that song, because obviously it was like a real like Europop like banger of a tune, and I've classic me made it emotional. And I thought, you know what, like, it's such a great song. I think for it to be my first release, it's one that people know, it's in a different way than they've heard it before, so I thought that's how I'm gonna kind of start off my streaming career, and start with that one.
Now, did you have help with getting that distributed, or did you just start looking up all of this information on how to get your music out there?
I just started looking at information. So I went to this kind of conference thing that the BBC hold each year, like a 3-day thing of loads of talks and events for amateur artists. And it was really great. There were loads of different distributors there. And so I went and had a chat to them. I was like, can you explain this to me? Because I have no idea how this works. Took that away and then went and researched a load of stuff, asked artists that I know who are at the same stage as me, how did you get that on there? How did you do that? And that's just how I did it.
Wow. And do you see yourself creating, well, first of all, do you speak Gaelic?
I only speak a few words, sadly. But it's on my bucket list to learn it.
I was going to ask if you were planning on singing any songs in your home tongue. Oh
no, sadly not. I do sing a couple of folk songs that have kind of a Gaelic chorus in it, and I love singing those ones. But sadly, I don't speak it fluently.
Mm-hmm. What have you been working on lately?
So in the kind of lockdown period, I thought this is a really great time for me to just, because usually, in life you're so busy, you're trying to go out and secure gigs, and I have a day job as well that's not related to music to pay the rent. So usually everything's kind of just going on and it's so busy. But for this period of time, I've been able to work at home with my day job, which has been great, and it means that I can do the work and then immediately go after kind of the working day's done and just go on my piano and do guitar, and I just have so much more time. So I've been using this time to do a series of quarantine covers, and about kind of songs that I think would maybe be uplifting or happy or mean something to people at the minute. And then in doing that, I'm learning new things. I'm learning new kind of production techniques and things that I never got the chance to do, like with Logic before. And I only picked up the guitar recently, so doing all those covers has really improved my technique. And then I've been using the time to kind of just message people on Instagram and follow a load of other artists and see what people are doing. Like, there was a festival in Scotland recently. It was meant to be a big music conference, and they moved it all online. And so I just sat for a day and listened to loads of people talking, and yeah, stuff like that's been really great.
Wow. And did you produce your first single on your own?
No, I didn't. I was in a studio for that last year, so we recorded 5 covers, which I have the masters for, and then so I decided to release that one. It was great having that studio time because it was my first time in a studio, so yeah.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you get connected? Was that just through looking up different studios, or did BBC help you?
Yeah, no, so that was before all the BBC stuff. So I moved to London and I just started looking at different studios where I could kind of just get in and get a bit of a taste of things and record what I wanted to record.
That's awesome. Not a lot of people get that BBC recognition. It takes time to, one, submit your music to BBC, and 2, to even get accepted. So
yeah.
Props to you for having been able to do that, because most artists, especially such young artists, don't even get the opportunity to perform for BBC at all.
Yeah, it was when I got that communication from, so it was first BBC Radio Kent, and they said, we want you to play your original music live on air, and we're going to talk to you as well. It was incredible. I was obviously terrified as well, but it was so wonderful. And the guys there, I'll give a shout out to Casey, who's the guy who kind of curates all the music and gets artists in, and Dominic as well, who does the show, and their producers, Sophie. They were so lovely, made me feel so at ease, and yeah, it was just incredible, and they were so lovely about my music, and then. So having had that amazing experience, it was then such a lovely shock that the next month, so that had been in November, they invited me back again in December to do like a Christmas special as part of their Christmas series. So it's just been amazing. BBC Radio kind of been such a massive support to me.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Congratulations for that.
Thank you so much.
How has your family responded to all of your newly acclaimed fame?
My family have just been my support since day one, to be honest. My mum and dad, so even when I have gigs in London, and obviously they're in Devon, so it's a good like 3-hour drive or more, they come up and see me. They're there like all the time, super supportive. My sisters are as well. They say fame hasn't changed me yet. Yeah.
Stay humble. Okay, so you have had at least a little bit of success in that aspect. What are some challenges that you've faced as an artist so far?
Yeah. I think kind of in the same way as other artists have, like, it's such a competitive industry, it really is, and trying to get noticed can be really difficult. So like I said, it was one of the reasons I moved to London, because that's where everyone seemed to be, and I would see other people like getting stuff and I was like, oh my god, I'm not doing enough. So yeah, I think that is a struggle, just trying to push yourself out there constantly. And like the number of gigs and stuff you have to do, like I love gigging, but sometimes, you know, a lot of the time I don't do paying gigs, like in the meantime. When you do, that's great, but it's just kind of that constant thing, and getting rejections from places, and yeah.
Do you submit your music to playlists?
I do, yeah. So I've done through kind of, I think Submit Hub is one of the ones, yeah, and stuff like that. And yeah, sometimes you get like, so for that most recent one I had, because it's the only one I have on Spotify, I got like really good feedback from it, but then people saying love it, but not for us.
Oh.
Like, what do I do? What do I do? So yeah, I think it's just a matter of just carrying on going and just keep pushing it out there. Yeah.
Have you had any luck, or actually, what are some ways that you try to stand out? Because you do have such a beautiful voice, but like you said, it's a very competitive industry. So how do you try to stand out from other artists?
It's interesting. I think so in the kind of circles that I'm in and that I perform in, I think the fact that I mix genres in kind of a interesting way, I would say. So because I have kind of like kind of a classical choral as well as like a folk background, and then mixing that in with kind of my more recent influences of like kind of blues and stuff. I think that fusion I don't hear a lot of other people doing in the same format with a female voice and a keyboard when I perform. So I think that's probably a differentiator. And then as well as that, I guess the emotional element that I push through a lot of my songs, I think is maybe slightly different, or isn't something that I see like a huge amount anyway in the scenes that I'm in. So I think that's probably a way.
Yeah, I love the Lord of the Rings cover that you recently did.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and you know, one thing I was thinking is you would make a great cover artist for those kinds of movies. So for Lord of the Rings, or what's another movie that's like that, or something like The Witcher on Netflix, or The Last Kingdom.
Yeah.
Would be a great person to cover those songs. Actually, you should start making a TikTok of these videos, because I would watch them.
Yeah, that should.
Yeah, because there are a lot of artists out there that have great voices, but it's really about standing out in the crowd. And you know, when I was listening to your music, I listen to so many different genres, but I always try to find ways to help artists figure out ways for them to collaborate with different genres or different producers. And as soon as I heard your music, I was just thinking that you would be one of those artists that someone would hear, because sometimes people that listen to pop music don't listen to folk music, or people that listen to hip hop music don't listen to alternative. And so your voice, because it's so emotional and it is folk, it's a little bit there's a little bit of blues in it, and it has those elements. It would be amazing to hear you on an electronic production.
Cool. Yeah.
Because I could hear your voice. I'm not a producer myself. That is not my forte, but I can hear your voice on one of those tracks and people falling in love with it.
Oh.
So just as an idea, I think you would be great on any track, honestly. But I think that if you wanted to mix different genres, I definitely think that you would sound great on an electronic one. I do actually know a great producer that I'm going to talk to him and see if he knows of anyone that might help be able to connect with you.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, one of my friends does hip hop, but he loves EDM, and he's amazing versus some really tough artists. So I'll just see if I can connect you. I can't promise anything, but
no, of course, no, I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, I would love that sort of stuff, and to lend my voice in different ways. And I know what you mean about like it fitting in with an electronic thing. I think because of like the timbre of my voice. Yeah, I can hear it like probably fitting well with something like that.
And are you an alto or a soprano, tenor? Where do you fall usually?
I think I'm probably a mezzo soprano. So I can go like fairly high, but my voice is kind of richest in like a middle range.
Yeah. And how did you, so you said that you were in different choirs. How did you
Mhm.
really start to hone in on your voice and realize that this was something that you were good at? Did you have a point in your life where you were like, I am actually a good singer?
I think it was probably at school. My choir master gave me the very coveted year 13, so final year solo in choir. So we sang it in Lisbon, and I remember we sang it in this wonderful like big dome that had incredible acoustics. And he was, it still is, he's an incredible musician, and it was kind of getting that support from people who had no like reason to support me, as in like, you know, when friends and family are like, oh my god, you're great, you're like, yes, but am I? So kind of that external support, and then the kind of reaction that I got from that made me think maybe I do have something slightly different that I can do. And so like I said, then at uni when I began to perform, I remember the first time I ever performed in front of my friends and kind of other people at the university, I again got the same reaction, which was, oh, I didn't know you could sing like that. And I enjoyed it so much, and to have that combined with the reaction and an audience that had connected emotionally, was kind of made me think this is it, like this is what I want to do. So that's probably around the age of 18. I was like, yes, but I will get a degree first. Do it. Yeah.
What do you typically write about in your songs?
Sadly, it's very kind of depressing stuff. I find it difficult to write songs about happy things. It's usually if I'm kind of going through something a little bit difficult, or one of my songs is about advice to kind of friends who've been going through something, and I guess I write songs that are quite introverted emotionally, and kind of have a couple of them have like some religious elements in there as well, which I definitely take from like a lot of Leonard Cohen stuff. Yeah. But yeah, kind of sadder stuff. So I'll do my best to improve on that.
But you know, they say that that's where real inspiration comes from, is through experience in hardships. So
yeah.
So keep writing your sad.
Okay, I will.
So what about the next song? What song are you thinking about releasing next?
So, you know, I'm not actually sure. I've been trying to think about what I want to do for a little while, and whether I want to release some more covers, because people seem to like the covers that I do, or whether I should release my own original material. And I think with my original stuff, I think I really want to spend time like in a studio honing it with like a good producer who knows what they're doing, because sometimes when you write a song, it can be difficult to remove yourself from it and look at it from a third party perspective, and have someone else go, you know what that really needs, like it needs an electric guitar, it needs a bass here, or something like that. So I think I'm going to hold back in the original stuff just for a little bit longer, so that I can get them to a place where I'm like, yeah, that's it, that's the version I really want to put out. So I think maybe another cover next. I just need to decide which one. Yeah.
Can you talk about some of the lyrics to one of your favorite songs that you have written?
Ooh, which one? I think probably the second one that I wrote, which is called Fool's Gold, which is about when you love someone and they don't love you back the way you want. And trying to think which line out of it is probably my favorite. I think it's probably the one where it goes, when sunlight broke the day, you were always worlds away. And that was kind of about someone not physically leaving, but just as soon as kind of the day broke and it went on to a new day, they'd kind of emotionally removed themselves from the situation, or kind of the relationship sort of thing. So I think it's probably my favorite one, because using the broke in it just kind of signifies what it meant emotionally, as well as like the literal breaking of the day. So
Do you typically write about love and heartbreak?
A couple of my songs have been about that. Definitely, that's where I draw inspiration from. And then a couple of other songs that I've written have been more about kind of my feelings from it. So less so about the relationship and more about my internal monologue, and what I feel that is happened during the time of the relationship isn't necessarily to do with that. So one of the songs I wrote is about it's called Resurrection, and kind of the chorus is like, resurrection, return me to dust, I'll live if I must. So it was kind of in a time when stuff wasn't going that well in a relationship scenario, and the feelings are related to that, but it's not about that. It's about kind of yourself and rising from the ashes or wanting to go back to the ashes. So
I love that. I can see the imagery in my head. I'm coming up with a storyline in my head for your song as you're telling me about it, and I can't even hear it.
You will.
That's awesome. And from the music that you listen to, I know you said that you are inspired by Leonard Cohen. What are some other artists that you have been inspired by?
So a massive influence for me growing up is an artist called Nana Mouskouri. So she's a Greek artist who was really big during the 70s. And my dad loves her music, so we were played her all the time growing up. We were like, me and my sisters as well would be like singing along to these Greek songs, and like I have no idea what the words are or anything. Like none of us are Greek in any way. My dad just loves the music, and then it's kind of that like growing up with that, and then you go away from it because it's not cool anymore, and then coming back to it later. Hearing her as an artist, and she has such an amazing voice and sings a huge range, and definitely her style and her technique and the emotion and the ease with which she sings has been like a huge influence for me. And then I guess some other influences, so I mentioned Leonard Cohen earlier, so again, my mum used to play some of his songs in the car when we were younger, and then over the past couple of years, my greatest regret is that I wasn't the fully fledged fan I am now when he was alive. So I really only came to his music over the last like couple of years.
To the end of love, dance me to the end of love. Let me see your beauty and the witnesses of God. Let me feel you moving like they do in Babylon. Show me slowly what I only know the limits of. Dance to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love.
And then another influence of mine is Jeff Buckley. Just, I think for a number of reasons. One, like the kind of acrobatics that he does with his voice and how he can go from being super soft to just like screaming and it still sounds amazing. And just that he doesn't really care what he sings in terms of genre. Like it doesn't matter, it's just music, and whatever he sings it in his way and it sounds right. So that's another like inspiration for me, just being transcending like genre and just singing music.
I love that. And are you planning on collaborating with, do you have different producers in mind that you are thinking about collaborating with for your upcoming originals?
I don't yet. I'm still kind of like conducting a search. I'm not really sure what I want yet exactly from it. And also, so we were discussing a little bit earlier about kind of struggles. Sometimes I'm not sure about the right way to go about things or how to contact people or what to do in that. So I'm trying to suss things out at the minute, but can be a little bit difficult knowing where to go.
Yeah. And how has the coronavirus shutdowns actually affected your artistry?
So I think it's probably affected it in a couple of ways. So one, I think it's given me the headspace to really sit down and think, what do I want to do, and start trying to think, okay, when would I want to release that? What do I want to do with these songs, rather than just kind of, keeping your head above the water every day. And I guess kind of having that space, like I said, like I love gigging and the opportunities it gives me, and that audience participation is so important. But not having gigs does give me time to sit back and just, where do I want to go? And I think it's also given me the opportunity to delve much more into production. So like I said, so I used Logic to record my stuff, but I use it in such a basic way, just kind of plug it in, keyboard, voice, that's it. Like, so now having this space has given me the opportunity, kind of play around with orchestrating stuff and using samples and making my music sound real, sound like fuller, sound better than it did. So yeah.
And how'd you get all of your followers? Because I saw that you have your artist page and you just recently started it on Instagram. Where did all of these followers come from in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, so I started the Instagram page in 2018. And then it was a pretty hard slog to get people to kind of get the word out there. So at first I got all my family and friends to join and share it. And then I built it up to around 550 or something like that people. And then during this lockdown, I was like, okay, I want to start trying to build a following. I want to, get my music out there to more people. So I, with the quarantine covers, I decided to do that, and I was like, what songs do I want to do and what message do I want to send out? And then I started sponsoring the posts, which I have done before, but never really got that much success off the back of them. And so maybe it's because people are at home and people are on their phones. I thought I'll sponsor, it was the one I did about John Prine, who, it was a tribute to him, and I thought I'll sponsor that, and I'll do a couple of bits in the US, like in places where there's a big country following, and in Ireland there's a big country following. So I just was like, oh, I'll put a bit of money behind that. It was only something like £30 or something. And I was like, I'll see where that goes. And then I was blown away by the response to it. I couldn't really believe it. And I thought maybe I'll just do a couple more of those. So the other posts I sponsored, similarly, I got an amazing response from people and people following it, which I was shocked. Yeah, that's basically been it. That's how I've got the following. So
wow.
Yeah, I think it's 1,500 followers in the space of a couple of weeks, I think. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I've seen even just within the last week, because I think I spoke to you on the Finessed Media page about a week or so ago, and then from then until now, I've seen the numbers go up, which is amazing.
Yeah, it is. And like what's amazing as well is that like the obviously you're gonna have people unfollowing you at various points, but that the unfollow has stayed pretty low. So I'm really pleased that the people who are following me are genuinely engaged in what I'm doing and want to see me and want to kind of listen to my music, which is great. I'm so grateful to anyone who's followed me and listens to my music. So yeah.
And have you gotten a chance to really engage with some of these followers? Do you comment back with them? Do they send you messages and things like that?
Yeah. Quite a few of them will send me messages, and so I pretty much reply to all of them and say like, thank you so much. And it's so nice having or feeling that there's that like support out there for you. And just people saying, I'm from Russia, or I'm from Iran, or I'm from here, and I'm like, I never imagined my music would ever get that far.
Have you gotten any messages or comments that stand out to you?
Someone wrote something incredibly lovely. There have been, I think, 2 comments that stood out to me. One person said, your voice is like cool spring water on a hot day. And that's so lovely. That is so lovely. And then someone else said that I sounded celestial.
Wow.
So like what? Like,
I think I would start crying if someone sent me those messages.
I was like, oh my God. So it was funny because for the celestial one, so it was written in Spanish and I don't speak Spanish. So I was like, I'll translate that to see what it says. And I was like, oh.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. You should do an Instagram live. I'm sure you would have some good results from it. Or people would just love to hear your voice. Even if people couldn't join in live to see you, then I'm sure you would get a lot of responses from people that just want to hear your voice in any time.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I definitely want to do an Instagram live performance. I've done a couple of Facebook lives, which is good because then I link it up to my kind of keyboard on my voice, so then like my voice fully comes through, whereas the audio on my phone is a little bit dodgy. So yeah,
that is one of the issues with not being able to perform live, is you don't get the same experience with it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an interesting beast performing live because you can see people's comments come through, which is lovely, but there's something so special about a live performance where you can feel people's emotions when they're right there. So yeah.
Wow. And what are some of the things that you've learned since you have gotten into really pushing to be an artist?
Yeah. I think probably one of the things that I've learned is I'd say kind of, so from an individual perspective, I think obviously it's so important to have kind of metrics, I guess, that you want to achieve, saying I want to achieve this and I want to have this done by this date and this done by this date. And I think sometimes it can get easy to get lost in the kind of key performance indicators that you want to achieve, and then you kind of think I'm losing sight of like why I'm doing this. I'm doing it because I love music. So I think, interestingly, I think like this quarantine time has been really nice to just sit back and be like, this is why I do it because I love music. So that's one of the things that I've learned, is to always keep the music first and foremost and the love of it there, because if it becomes a chore, then like, why are you doing it? And then probably the other thing that I've learned is the value and the love and support that like the musical community gives. So from like other artists of like my level who, you know, will say, there's this gig at this place, I can't make it, do you want this slot? Yes. And like, will you support me here? And you know, you do things for each other, which is really lovely. And then from like a fan point of view, I have fans that you know, people that I didn't know before who turn up to my gigs and know my songs and like will request them, and I'll say, you know, hi, and I recognize them at gigs, and it's an amazing feeling having someone there to support you and who's there purely for your music. And then from like the support from like people online and from Instagram and people, you know, like yourself, who've given me the opportunity to, you know, do something like this, which is something I never thought I'd be doing. I never thought someone would want to talk to me about my music. So yeah, so it's just like a level of love and support from all different areas in the musical community that makes it so great to be a part of it.
That's awesome. Well, we have a couple minutes left. How can people, well, first of all, what can people expect from you next? And then how can people reach out to you?
I think people can expect some more groovy, funky covers from me coming up. And then in the near future, my original material released in all its glory. And if people want to reach out to me, probably the best way is through Instagram with @IamBlánid, but I'm on Facebook and Twitter as well with the same handle. And they can email me through my website, www.blánid.co.uk.
Okay, great. Awesome. So thank you again, Blánid. It was such a pleasure to meet you.
Oh,
And
such a pleasure to meet you too. Thank you so much, like, for this opportunity.